2010 general election has just concluded and the results are beginning to flow out. The ruling UPFA has secured most of the seats so far, and this has not come as a surprise. What's interesting though is to see the new faces that are making their way into parliament. We have Sanat Jayasuriya, the batsman, coming in. The president's son, Namal Rajapaksa, is also expected to enter parliament. He has also secured most number of votes from his electorate. The UNP and the Democratic National Alliance are not really fared as well as one hoped for. And this, I guess, could be attributed to the fact that there was quite a low vote turnout at this election. With me is Jamila Najmuddin from Daily Mirror Online. She was covering this election from the start. Jamila, what has the trend been like so far?
Well, Iswan, I think we did expect from the very beginning a win by the UPFA government, but the percentages have been quite surprising because so far we have seen the UPFA securing a lot of seats and the UNP not being able to perform as expected. Yes, we are seeing new faces like Sanat Jayasuriya and Namal Rajapaksa making their way into parliament. But then again, this does not come as any surprise because both these candidates were quite popular from the very beginning. We are also seeing candidates from the UNP like Sajith Premadasa maintaining their popularity by topping the preferential list in the Hambantota district. We've seen people like Chama Rajapaksa, Nirupama Rajapaksa also maintaining their popularity. However, what's now to be seen is whether new faces, as we discussed, like Namal Rajapaksa, Sanat Jayasuriya, whether they will be able to live up to the expectations of the public and the voters.
Now, this election, of course, had its black mark as well with
yes.
With the Namal incident.
Yes.
Election monitors have one thing to say, and the election department has something else. The police have their own version of what's going on there.
Well, Iswan, as every year, you know, whenever we have elections, there is one electorate which always stands out where violence or incidents are concerned. And unfortunately, this year it's Nawalapitiya. From election day, monitors have been complaining about what's been happening in that electorate. We've heard reports about opposition polling agents being chased away, about voters not being able to cast their votes freely for candidates in that area. It is fair enough for the Elections Commissioner to call for a repoll, and it is also fair enough for monitors saying that, you know, because of Nawalapitiya, overall the elections have not been free and fair. Well, what's left to be seen is when the repoll is actually going to take place and what the actual outcome from that electorate is going to be.
Now, looking back at how this election went, there were a few issues apart from this Nawalapitiya incident. Voters had complained that they were not informed about polling agents taking down their numbers from polling cards.
Yes, we have in fact received such reports. I mean, we got it confirmed by the elections department and the election monitors that voters had been complaining their voting numbers had been taken down by the agents on their ballot papers. I mean, this obviously gives away the voter's identity. When the Daily Mirror Online did contact the elections department for an explanation, they in fact said this was legal. This raises a lot of questions because how could this be legal? Because the public had not been informed about this. At the last presidential election, we didn't have any such cases. So for the election department to overnight make this legal, well, I think they should have done a better job by informing the public about this beforehand.
Right. And there was another issue again about the marking of the finger as well.
Yes, that did create some kind of a problem on election day because just hours before Sri Lanka went to vote, the elections department made it public saying that their ring finger would be marked. Well, as we know, every election which we've had in the past, it's the index finger which has been marked. We did see a couple of people walking out, I mean, with separate fingers marked, one coming out with a ring finger, the other coming out with the index finger. I think there was some confusion there, yes.
Right, so now this election is more or less over.
Yes.
I guess what's to be seen now is how the new government delivers on its promises.
Well, I wouldn't say it's quite over yet, Isran, because the UNP and the DNA say that they are not quite happy with the general elections and the way it had been conducted. Yes, to a part, they are fair in saying that, because election monitors have been confirming to the media, saying that in most of the electorates, the JVP and the UNP polling agents were chased away. I know for a fact that these people are having discussions. They will be meeting the Elections Commissioner very soon as well to discuss what electorates are going to be repolled. I mean, we've just heard reports that even a certain electorate in Trincomalee is going to be repolled. So what the exact results are, I think it might not come out as soon as expected.
Right, but then of course, I mean, the opposition, the duty of the opposition is to oppose everything. So
Definitely.
I guess you expect them to...
Well, this time the UNP will go all out in opposing, because they haven't performed as expected.
Right.
The percentages, when you compare it with the past general elections, UNP seems to have fared quite poorly.
Yes, and I guess one other interesting fact is for us to see how General Sarath Fonseka's issue develops. We expect him to be...
well, a lot of people did expect the DNA to secure quite a number of votes, and especially in the Colombo district, because the general seemed to have quite a number of voters in the Colombo district. But the DNA too seems to have performed very poorly, just like the UNP. So now what's expected, I mean, what we have to see is that what's going to happen in the future. I mean, whether we're going to see any improvement where General Sarath Fonseka is concerned, who else is going to be taken into Parliament, the new faces, by the UPFA, and what exactly the UNP stand is going to be.
Thank you, Jamila, for joining us here on this discussion, and as we wind up our election coverage here on Daily Mirror Online, we thank you for being with us right throughout election day, and we hope you continue to stay with Daily Mirror Online.